Hi. I was asked a while back to make a video about procrastination, and I've been putting it off and putting it off. And finally today I said, okay, I'm going to make this video. So here it is. Now, I'm sure everyone who's watching this, you procrastinate in certain circumstances, as I do, as everyone does. So what's operating there? I mean, certainly there are many things in our lives that we don't have to be coaxed or cajoled into doing, right? I mean, there are things that bring immediate pleasure to us. It might be eating delicious food or having a wonderful conversation with a friend or watching a favorite show on TV or going to playing a sporting event, whatever it happens to be. We don't have to convince ourselves to do that because the pleasure that comes from doing it is pretty present in the near term. Now, there are other things that we have to do that either have been assigned to us by other people or even things that we've chosen to do ourselves that are not so pleasant. I mean, some of us who know we should exercise don't exercise as much as we think we should, even though we're the people deciding that that's something that should be on our plate. And yet, we have to think about things that are big and onerous and will take time to do. We tend to put those things off. And even if there are other smaller onerous things that we have to do, we tend to do those first because we can complete them and get them finished and now move on to the next thing and get the good feeling that comes from completing them. Now that should teach us something. It's not just pleasurable things that lead us to accomplish tasks. It's how frequently we can actually reach a point of completion and feel like we've done something good. Now, I'll tell you an interesting study that was done almost 40 years ago now by Bandura and Shunk. Went into a school, actually several schools, where kids were having difficulty with mathematics and they were struggling with math. They didn't like math. And what they asked them to do is, could you come in and help these children, first of all, develop more skills mathematically and help their attitudes about math. So here's what they did. They created 42 pages of worksheets. I know that doesn't sound very pleasant, does it? And over a period of 6 days, they were going to have these children work through these worksheets that were intended to develop their mathematical skills. So on the first day, some of the children came in and they were given all 42 worksheets. And they said, well, over the next 6 meetings that we have over the next several weeks, we're going to ask you to work through and get these 42 worksheets done. And another set of children were given the same 42 worksheets, but they weren't given them all on the first day. They were just given 7 on the first day, knowing that they could complete those 7 by the end of this first day session, and then 7 the next day and 7 the next day. So by the end of the 6 sessions, both sets of children had completed all 42 worksheets. And what was the result of that? Well, you know what I'm about to tell you, or I wouldn't be telling this story. The children who got just 7 worksheets a day not only had better attitudes about mathematics, they understood mathematics better. They were more skillful and more accurate in performing mathematical operations. And the only difference between the two groups of children is that the children who got only 7 worksheets a day had a task that they could complete in the near term. Now that should teach us something about setting up our own schedules for ourselves and how we can create experiences that allow us to complete tasks frequently enough that we can enjoy and take pleasure in the fact that we're completing them. Now, some tasks we have are really big and they might take days or weeks or even months to complete. So how can we deal with those things effectively, especially when we're in multiple classes and different faculty are all assigning us stuff to do and they don't talk to each other and we have to kind of figure out all that out on our own. And so I thought about what's the most onerous thing in my life to do. And one of the worst things that I just like doing the least is doing my taxes. It's not that I'm paying taxes. In fact, I should probably be paying more in taxes, but the paperwork is just horrible. And for years, I would spend so much time not only procrastinating and putting off starting doing my taxes, but then feeling bad and increasingly worse as April 15th approached, knowing that I wasn't getting my taxes done. So I read this study and I thought, you should learn something from that. So I decided I was going to set up some goals for my taxes. I was going to take that big onerous task and break it up into smaller pieces. So my first goal was to get all the paperwork associated with doing my taxes in one room in my house. That's it. That's the whole goal. And I think, I had to collect stuff from my glove compartment and take stuff from my office at the university and my home office here and stuff from my luggage and my briefcase and all this kind of stuff. And when I completed that task, I could look at all that paper in there and think, look at this, I'm getting my taxes done. And so I rewarded myself with some of the things that really bring me the most pleasure. I love dark chocolate. So I allowed myself to have some chocolate at the end of that. No more taxes that day. And the next time I get ready to work on my taxes, the next goal was to get all those papers sorted so that they were in different piles related to things I had to do with taxes. And when I completed that, more chocolate. And over time, you can imagine, as I'm doing these small tasks relating to my taxes, I'm getting my taxes done. And by the time April 15th arrived, I had done all these smaller tasks, each of which, because I accomplished it and felt good about it, propelled me to the next task. Now, that's a lesson that we can all take about how we set up the experiences we have for ourselves, to take large tasks that seem too monumental, too onerous, and make smaller tasks that are not only easier to do, but things that can be completed more regularly and more frequently that we can take pleasure in completing, like doing this video. And now, after all this time has passed, I've completed it. It's time for chocolate. And I wish you all the very best for the fall semester. And I hope your time at the university is happy and successful.